Hello and welcome to week 3 of the Sorta Stupid Sports Podcast. I am your host, Darren Will, and to my left over here, I got Noah McCune, and then my other boy, Troy Gant, Matt Shiflett, and Blaine Smith. And we're here to recap week 17 of the NFL, plus the college football playoffs. So, we're going to start out with Noah, and he's going to talk about his games that he has for the week.
All right, so to start off, I had the New York Jets at New England, which was the New York Jets at New England. It ended 3-38 as Tom Brady continues to show why he's going to be in the league for another 20 years. Not much else really went on. Sam Darnold had 167 yards. New England had a total of 131 yards rushing between Sony Michel, White. Julian Edelman was involved in the run game. Quite a bit, actually. Really, not much else happened. Edelman led the team in 69 yards. The Jets were there. They tried to play football, but we all knew this was going to happen. And so New England has that first round bye now, as they tend to do. And so we're just going to go ahead and move on to a much closer game, which was not expected. The Arizona Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks. This game ended 24-27 with Seattle just pulling it out with a last-second field goal, which was not expected by any means. Russell Wilson was 12 of 21 for 152 yards and 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Rosen was 18 of 34 with 149 yards and 1 touchdown. Both of the quarterbacks were sacked 6 times in this game. So there was a total of 12 sacks.
That's insane.
It's not bad.
Not great offensive line play from either side.
Not at all.
Because neither of these teams have what would be qualified as dominant defensive lines. Carson led the way with 122 rush yards, while Duke Johnson, that's not right. Oh,
It's week 17. It's fine.
Well, Johnson had 70 carries for 62 yards. I'm not even going to try to say first name because I'll mess it up. That's right. Really not much of an offensive showing. It's a relatively high score for not very many yards being gained. It was a very balanced attack from the Seahawks to be able to keep in this one. Honestly, really shocking that the Cardinals were able to make it this close, and I don't know why they would try, considering they've pretty much got the number 1 overall pick locked up. And why not add that nice edge rusher with Bosa coming out? But they tried to play their way out of it, but they're still there. Got the loss. Congrats, Cardinals. You are now the first overall pick in the NFL draft. And so moving on to what we decided was the most important game happening this week, and what apparently the NFL thought so, because it was at 8 o'clock. It was the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. This game ended 33-17. Doesn't sound like all that close of a score, but really throughout the entire game, it was a fairly defensive game for the most part. The first touchdown for the Tennessee Titans was off of a pick by Andrew Luck. Just a lame duck he threw out. He was on his own goal line with the offensive line collapsing around him. He didn't have much of a choice. It was a double clutch, just lob it up, and that was easily picked off and waltzed into the end zone. Marlon Mack has continued to show why he belongs in the NFL with 25 carries and 119 yards and 1 touchdown. Derrick Henry, another game where he didn't make it over 100 yards, but he did make it to 93 on 16 carries. So he's still doing well.
Pretty close.
I mean, he's all right, I guess. Nothing else really to stand out about this. Marlon Mack did lose a fumble, but the closing interception was Darius Leonard to end the game. So
Absolute monster.
he is padding his stats.
He sealed his
Yeah, he
defensive
sealed
rookie.
it.
Too bad he didn't get the Pro Bowl.
Honestly, I think he sealed it about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But this game does put the Colts in the playoffs and just knocks out the Titans.
Womp.
Quite honestly, I think this has been a really good year for Tennessee. I don't think anyone really saw them going this far. I think they're a quarterback away from being a good playoff team.
Definitely something to look forward to.
Maybe a wide receiver.
Might want to add a wide receiver there.
Well, their core is really young. I mean, you give them time.
That's true.
And they did lose Delaney Walker as a good tight end. So
I mean, Mike Vrabel did a great job as head coach this year, in my
good
opinion.
defense over there.
All right, and that's it for me. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to Troy.
All right, we'll start out with the Chiefs and Raiders. This game ended about how you'd expect. Chiefs winning 35-3.
I'm sorry, that's just pathetic.
Yeah.
Respect the tank.
You know, Mahomes had a decent game. Had 281 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception though. Once again, not much going on in the run game for the Chiefs. Damian Williams had 11 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown, which isn't bad. Tyreek Hill had a touchdown carry too, which, you know, what can he do? He also had 101 yards on 5 receptions and a touchdown, which is also pretty good. And yeah, that was about it for them. You know, they just pounded through the Raiders as you'd expect.
They did what they needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Derek Carr did what you would expect there as well. 185, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Perfect Derek Carr game. And something I was pretty excited about, the muscle hamster, Dougie Martin, had 21 carries for 100 yards. It was nice to see that again. The muscle hamster.
The muscle hamster.
I like it.
Yeah.
No, you never heard of it? You know, Jordy Nelson looked like a good receiver for once again. Had 9 receptions for 78 yards. So pretty nice game. But yeah, that was about it. Just Chiefs beating up on the Raiders. So we'll move on to the Chargers and Broncos. And this game went pretty much how I expected as well. The Chargers winning 23-9. Phillip Rivers did not have a great game though. Only 176 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, which was very surprising to me.
Does that make you scared if you're a Chargers fan going into the playoffs?
I mean, you have to worry about it a little bit, but also...
Especially going into Baltimore. Tough place to play.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean...
And you already lost to Baltimore once.
And he just...
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. But also getting in the game with quarterback was Geno Smith.
Woo! The legend from WVU.
Did not have a pass attempt. Immediately strip sacked by Von Miller and everything.
Sounds like Geno Smith.
Yeah.
And Austin Eckler had 58 yards and a touchdown, and Melvin Gordon returned. He had 10 carries for 42 yards. Didn't find the end zone though, but still nice to see both of them in action instead of just one. And yeah, they didn't really, as you can tell with Phillip Rivers, they didn't really get it in the passing game. You know, Mike Williams had 5 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown, and Keenan Allen had 4 receptions for 64 yards, but didn't find the end zone. On the other side, Case Keenum was 31 for 48 with 292, 1 touchdown and a pick, which isn't too terrible of a game for Case Keenum. You know, Royce Freeman had 17 carries for 60 yards, and yeah, they didn't have a receiver that had over 50 yards, so we're not going to mention any of them. They don't deserve it.
Do better.
And we'll round it out with a game that I have very much mixed feelings about, which is the Cowboys and Giants. Cowboys win this one in a thriller, 36-35, on a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Dak Prescott had 387 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pretty good game for Dak. You know, there was a while there that people were starting to think that maybe he doesn't have it, and it was. As much as I hate the Cowboys, it was nice to see that happen. I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Blake Jarwin? Is that their tight end?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. No one knows.
Yeah, nobody knew who this guy was. But
he's not Jason Witten. So
he had 7 receptions for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns.
People are going to know his name after
Pretty
that
good game. Cole Beasley had 6 receptions for 94 yards, a pretty big touchdown towards the end of the game. And yeah, they won after that.
I'm pretty sure Jarwin now has the same amount of touchdowns as Rob Gronkowski.
Wouldn't be surprised.
That catch by Cole Beasley was insane.
Yeah,
it was
a
beautiful
really
catch.
Barely having as needed. I mean,
so enjoy the playoffs for 1 week before you lose next week, Cowboys.
Speaking of playoffs, here's somebody that won't be going in there, and that's my boys, the Giants and Eli.
You knew that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Eli Manning, 301, 2 touchdowns and a pick. You know, Eli Manning game. Getting used to these, but something that was nice to see was Saquon Barkley breaking out of the rut. He had 17 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown, so it was nice to see him get back over that 2-week slump there. And the passing game, Evan Ingram had 5 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown, which I'm glad to see. He's started to consistently put together good games. And one thing that surprised me was Cody Latimer. I don't know if anybody knows who he is.
Indiana, right?
Used to play for the Broncos, and the Giants got him this year. Hasn't really done too much, but he had a pretty good game. He had 4 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown, including a monstrous one-hand touchdown and not a one-handed touchdown. It was just a one-handed catch, and he had the touchdown, which was pretty nice for us. But, they still lost, so it doesn't matter. 36-35 Cowboys.
It's the amazing thing about Week 17. There are all these names that you've never heard of.
Yeah,
That's true.
They're just blowing up.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like, I like the last week of the season. I kind of like preseason for that, too, because you really never know.
Right.
I mean, that's how Victor Cruz got with the Giants. He had 3 touchdowns in a preseason game against the Jets, and then
The legend.
ended up starting.
The legend Victor Cruz.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
You done there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to kick it to Matt.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Give you the intro.
Yeah. Moving on, we got the Lions 31, Packers 0.
Yikes.
Yeah, story of that one is the Packers just gave up. I mean, they got blown out 31-0. It's rough.
Against the Lions.
Against the Lions. Yeah.
Hey, they're kicking through a touchdown.
Yeah, but
For the brand.
That was great. Great for the brand.
Dude,
Yeah.
Pat McAfee's commentary on that throw was beautiful.
He needs to take over Jason Witten.
Yeah, I hope he
primetime games.
anyway.
I can pull a rabbit out of his head, I'll tell you that.
Packers had 9 first downs. It's
pretty good.
Yeah.
Almost double digits.
Yeah. Deshaun Kaiser had 46% completion rate.
Typical of Deshaun Kaiser.
It's just bad. But he did have 40 out of their 46 rushing yards,
Wow.
which is just he had that's like 87% of the rushing yards. Nutty. Neither team had anything to play for, so it didn't matter. But yikes. Let's just hope they don't become a dumpster fire next season.
Hopefully
I think they're
Kaiser
on the
doesn't
way.
play
Yeah.
ever again in the
And
NFL.
they need a running back, they need a coach, and hopefully they'll be
They have a running back.
I mean, on the other,
He's injured though.
like an actual.
on the
Yeah,
other side,
Jones
though,
is
that's
pretty
something
good.
good to look forward to if you're Matt Patricia. I mean, getting a big win like that.
He did
Yeah.
beat the Patriots too.
Yeah. Who didn't have exactly a stellar season.
No. I mean, 11-5 is pretty good for like anyone else but the Patriots.
Right.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Their fans are pretty upset about that.
Boston fans are hard to please.
Moving on, we've got the Rams 48, 49ers 32. The 49ers lost, but this just kind of proves that the Rams defense is exploitable. Because even though Nick Mullins threw 3 picks, 2 of them were on tipped passes. That was more his fault than the Rams defense actually being good. Despite those interceptions, he still threw for 70% completion, 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. I mean, if you're a Rams fan, you should be a little bit worried about this going into the playoffs. So they're going to have to be pretty careful, but they do end up winning this one 48-32. And then my last game is Bills 42. Didn't think I'd say that. Bills 42, Dolphins 17.
Dang, Dolphins didn't get that 8-8 season.
No, they're slightly less than mediocre this time.
Woo, good for you.
Yeah. Story of the day was Josh Allen. 3 touchdowns to 1 interception and 224 yards through the air, plus another 95 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. Also just nutty.
That's all right.
New Mike Vick.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
5
Better than Lamar
touchdowns.
Jackson.
I'd say so.
I would
Stop.
agree
It's not
with
even
that.
close.
I mean, one of these 2 is in the playoffs, but that's beside the point. Neither team had
One's
much to
on
play
the
for
bad team.
here.
Joe Flacco got him there.
Yeah.
Because they had a losing record when Flacco was
Yeah. He's elite quarterback. That's a washed up joke. Anyway,
Just like Joe Flacco.
You're not wrong. I mean, he's gone anyways. I don't care where he goes. Denver.
Anyway, neither team had anything to play for here, so it didn't make much of a difference. But yeah, Bills 42, Dolphins 17, and we'll kick it over to Blaine.
Oh, wait, real quick. They did have that completion to their defensive tackle who was retiring.
That's true.
Oh yeah,
Kyle
That was
Williams
beautiful.
had
That
the
was
nice. It wasn't a touchdown, but it was a nice little send off for a guy who's had to play with Buffalo for 13 years.
Which
Yeah.
is so much worse than Joe Thomas
I was
playing for
gonna
the
say,
Browns. For
yeah.
it's like Joe
forever.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So congrats.
Put some
congrats to
respect
him.
on his name.
Always appreciate a guy sticking with his team, even when they're a dumpster fire. For
Yeah.
They made the playoffs last year somehow.
Nah.
Yeah.
So starting off, I got to we're going to start off with the least fun out of all these games. We're going to start off with the Panthers playing the Saints, and the Panthers came out to ball. I mean, their undrafted free agent signing in Kyle Allen went 16 for 27, 228 yards, and 2 touchdowns before he hurt his shoulder.
Replace Cam Newton.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
replaced,
kidding. Don't do that.
That is a hot take.
I'm just kidding. That's not.
He did
no,
replace Taylor Heineke, who then Kyle Allen proceeded to get injured. But the only concern here for the Saints is they played their starting defense and they got shredded by an undrafted free agent rookie.
Yeah, there's no tape on him. You know,
Yeah. The Panthers won the game 33-14. Moving on, we have the next uninteresting game. I mean, but it had a lot on the line. The Eagles went in and played the Washington Redskins.
Nick Foles, the GOAT.
I disagree with that.
Boy, Nick Foles. Let's go.
25 straight completions by the GOAT.
What a
Nick.
monster.
That's a
What
phenomenal
a
stat.
monster.
That's a good stat. I mean, they came in, they dominated, they won 24-0. The only thing the Skins have is a fake, whatever. The only thing that the Skins have that's anything reputable is their punter threw a first down.
That's it. That's
It was
literally
beautiful.
it.
It was a
For
beautiful
the
throw
brand.
too. But we have the best game of the entire night right here. The Steelers played the Bengals in what was Marvin Lewis's last game.
Rip 'em.
Praise
Hey.
the Lord.
Rip Marvin Lewis.
So they're rehiring next year, so, you know, it's all right.
So,
Can't wait till you're Hugh Jackson's defensive coordinator.
Please make it
So
happen.
the Bengals traveled to Pittsburgh in a very, very defensive game. There's not really much to write home about offensively, except for Joe Mixon is a stud. I will say that
Overrated.
continually. He had another 100-yard game. He ran for 111 yards, and he was pretty much their offense because Jeff Driscoll threw 50%, 12 for 24 for 95 yards. No touchdowns,
Solid.
no picks.
That's not great.
That's a game for a
I mean, I'm
quarterback.
okay with it.
He didn't turn the ball over, but he didn't do anything on offense. The Steelers in this game, which also makes me happy. This was my favorite game of the entire night because we fired Marvin Lewis and the Steelers blew their playoff chances.
What do you mean we blew our playoff chances? We won.
You didn't play
You
well.
were 7-2-1, and then you
the-
missed the
the
playoffs.
I'm saying in this game we won.
So
So
you definitely blew your chance.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah. That's,
Hey, but listen, the Steelers have something to hope for.
No, they don't.
Their kicker made kicks.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
That's
we
true.
get.
Fire Chris Boswell. Keep
But-
this little 5'10" kid.
Now
on
all
the
we gotta
roster.
do is get rid of Mike Tomlin and the Michelin Man. We might have a good
Whoa.
team, right?
Okay.
And,
Whoa.
In the end, the Steelers won it 16-13. What a game. Moving on, we got Darren giving you his games.
So I'm going to start off with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. The Vikings needed to win this game in order to make the playoffs. But, like usual, Kirk Cousins choked, and he had 132 yards for a touchdown. And I know it's the Bears' defense, but that's still pretty bad. Another thing about Kirk Cousins is he is 5 for 25 for his career and starts against teams who finished the year with a winning record, including 1 for 6 this year.
Bad.
So
Real bad.
he got his money, and he pretty much robbed Minnesota because he is kind of garbage when it comes to primetime games.
Look, I'm not gonna
Go
say I
hang out.
called it, but I called that last year.
You did.
Go hang out in the Catfish Club with Brock Osweiler.
And Trubisky had 163 yards. That's basically it. And but Jordan Howard had 109 rushing yards for 2 touchdowns, so he was pretty
bad
good
at
for
all.
them. Not bad at all. Now we're going to go to the Jags and Texans, and the Jags, well, they had a phenomenal rushing game. They had 30 total yards rushing, 15 coming from Blake Bortles.
Nice.
So Jags are continuing to be a dumpster fire as well. DeAndre Hopkins had just another normal game. He had 147 yards with 12 receptions. And Deshaun Watson became the 3rd quarterback in NFL history, joining Russell Wilson and Cam Newton with 4,000 passing yards and 500 rushing yards in a season. Texans won that 20-3.
Did you see that Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt played like the entire game?
Well, they needed
Just
to win
consummate-
it because
just
if they
consummate
lost,
professionals.
then, yeah.
But the whole game, and J.J. Watt got hurt.
Yeah, I was to say I was really surprised at that, especially with JJ's injury history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, my favorite game. The Ravens clinched the AFC North over a thriller of a win versus the Cleveland Browns, 26-24. Ravens rushed for just 296 yards against a really good Browns defense.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Kenneth Dixon. Yeah, he's a pretty good running back.
Really?
Had 117 yards on 12 carries, the 9.8 average.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Baker was actually really impressive. He threw for 376 passing yards, but he had 3 picks. One of them came the final to seal the game, but he and Mahomes are the only quarterbacks to throw over 300 yards against the Ravens defense this year. So that's
a pretty good stat.
That's a pretty good stat. And I believe that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and then the one other game was the Falcons and Buccaneers, just to mention it. 34-32, which is just way closer than it probably should have been.
Well,
both quarterbacks
terrible.
threw for like 350 yards apiece. There were a combined 6 passing touchdowns, which is actually 7 if you count Mohamed Sanu. But yeah,
Yeet.
Falcons win that inconsequential game, 34-32. So that's it for all of our game recaps.
Fitzpatrick to the Jags.
Why not? Why not?
You could.
Let them go ahead and win a Super Bowl.
How about Tyrod Taylor to the Jags?
That'd be a better.
I don't
That'd be
hate
a
that at
better
all.
team.
I think that'd be a really good fit.
And then the
Then Ryan
Browns
Fitzpatrick
can just-
comes back to Buffalo. comes back to
Yes.
Buffalo and brings them back.
Yes.
or the Jets.
I like that too.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next section, we've got our Super Bowl prediction. Yeah. Is that where we're heading next?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I guess each one of us is going to run through what we think, what the championship games are going to look like, and then who's going to win those and go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, who wants to kick us off?
I can. So, I'm excited for the playoffs, might I say. But for the AFC, I chose, this is the AFC Championship, I got the Chargers playing the Patriots. And over the years, the Chargers have had very, very, very bad luck when it comes to playing the Patriots, especially in the AFC Championship. I can remember one year, I think it was the year LaDainian Tomlinson broke the record of rushing touchdowns. They went, I think it was at Chargers Field. They were 13-3, and they lost it in the last quarter of the game. So I think the Chargers are gonna, pick it up. I think they're gonna win this game.
Oh, you think they get over the hump, huh?
Yeah, I think they win this game.
Interesting.
I think they go into Foxborough, stick it to Tom Brady, and win this game. Moving over to the NFC, I got the NFC title game being the Bears playing the Saints in the Dome, and I think the Saints roll over the Bears.
Roll over.
Interesting.
Well, maybe not. I think it's gonna be a close game, but I think the Saints will
It's
win.
high-powered offense versus unstoppable.
I know.
Yeah.
Super stopping defense.
I think the final score will be 24.
What is it, like an unstoppable object?
17
It's like
of
a
that game.
Yeah.
immovable force or
So-
whatever. However that saying goes.
In the
you
Super
get
Bowl,
Close enough.
You get
in
it.
the Super Bowl, I have the Saints playing the Chargers, and I think the Saints win. I don't trust the Saints the Chargers too much. I think the Saints can go in and win that game.
I feel it. They just, have to get there this time and not lose on a
Yeah.
bad,
Give Breeze that second ring.
Yeah. He needs it.
Throwing it to Darren.
The Cowboys are winning the whole thing, everybody.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I like
And
it.
you're kicked off the podcast.
I'm just kidding. They're going to lose first
Edit
round.
point.
I have. This is going to be interesting. In the NFC, I have the Saints, and I think the Eagles are going to come back because Nick Foles is a playoff legend. I think the Rams are exposable, and the Eagles have already beat them once, and I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is just quite there yet when it comes to the playoffs. So I have the Saints and the Eagles, but the Saints are going to win that game, go to the Super Bowl. On the AFC side, I have the Texans
Oh.
versus the Ravens.
Whoa.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
He's being a homer, guys.
Okay, no, I like it.
Ravens.
This guy's
I've
got
already
the
beat
Ravens
the-
beat the Patriots.
The Ravens have already beat the Chargers, and I think they'll do it again at home. And then they're going to go into Foxborough. With that defense, they're going to shut down Tom Brady. They're going to minimize Tom Brady. You can't really shut him down. And I think they're going to beat him, and they're going to play the Texans because I think the Texans will beat the Colts, and then I think the Chiefs, a little overrated. I don't think they're going to do much in the playoffs. And I think that the Ravens will go back to the Super Bowl, but lose to the Saints.
Okay.
I hope that doesn't happen.
So we've got 2 Saints winning the Super Bowl so far. Okay.
So I have a quick question for the table. How about which 6th seed is the most likely to play an away game have to play every game away because they're a 6 seed and make it to the Super Bowl. Which of the Colts or the Eagles? Which one's more likely to do that?
Probably the Eagles.
I'd say the Colts.
I would argue the Colts.
I don't know.
That defense is getting better every week, and there's no
Andrew
way
Luck's-
you count out Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
I think-
the Colts do look good, but
I think they're both. Here's what I think. The Eagles have a whole lot of talent. They had the injury bug. A lot of them are healthy, but I think the Colts and their upcoming youth and they're getting a whole lot stronger defense. That offensive line is scary, which is why I'm going incredibly controversial here. I'm saying the Colts are making it to the Super Bowl this year.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so,
saying
so
it.
who
I
do they
can
play
see
in the
that.
championship game?
I'm not saying Ravens.
Yeah,
right.
Darren's over here
You know
like
what?
pointing.
You know
at
what?
me.
my team made the playoffs.
You know what? I'll say Chargers. I think it's going to be the 5 and the 6 seed.
Wow.
if that's ever
The Chargers
happened
have
before.
that incredibly stacked everything. They have one of the best rosters in the entire league. I don't see how they've played down so far, but I think they play up to their level that they should be. They make their way there. And then, you know what? I think they don't have enough juice to get past the Colts, and they're revamped everything's.
Wow.
You know what? I like being a little controversial. I like it.
I mean, I tried to, so.
And on the other side, the Saints make it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'll go up against the Bears because, like everyone else has said, I think the Rams' defense is too spotty.
And Jared Goff, I don't know.
Jared Goff has
Yeah.
lost a lot of trust as the season's gone on.
Jared Goff's not good.
He had
Better
a
than Carson Wentz.
good first few weeks. The Cowboys are easily the worst team in the playoffs. I'll say it. Like, they won their division, but
I'll agree with that. No.
from a talent standpoint, I think they're the worst team that made the playoffs. The Seahawks.
They're a sleeper team, I think.
The Seahawks have a chance
Because they got Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but I don't. Their offensive line is garbage. It's not good. It's not good.
They can run the ball well.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But yeah, no. I think it's gonna be Colts and Saints, and I'll say the Saints win as well.
Ooh, a Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So we're 3-0 on the Saints right now.
Yeah.
To Troy Collins.
All right, I have two. I picked one with my heart and one that I know is going to happen. The one with my heart, I would love to see the Colts versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Which, I mean, just Andrew Luck versus old Nicky Foles. I mean, just absolutely be electric. I would love to see that. And I think it's possible.
Oh yeah.
Possible.
It's almost seems like
It'd
a
be hard.
joke, like 2 6 seeds going at it in the Super Bowl, but that's a very possible
These are
situation.
easily like the most talented 6 seeds.
Yeah. Yeah, these are
I
your
can
normal...
remember.
Better than the Buffalo Bills last year.
Yeah.
Well, like I mean, that's what someone was saying on NFL. They were like, "This is one year where you're like, every single team has a shot to make the Super Bowl."
Besides the Cowboys.
Except
I would agree.
Sorry, Cowboys. Get better.
And what I know is going to happen, the New Orleans Saints versus the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
And much as
Wait.
I hate to say it, Tom Brady's going to do it again. I hate
Wow.
it, but
Don't do this.
Wait,
Yeah.
are you the only one so far who's got the Patriots going? to the
We
Super
all
Bowl?
have them
We
losing
all
like
have
in the
the
first round.
Yeah.
I don't have them losing.
Which
in the first
they're
round.
undefeated at home this year, so to go into Foxborough and beat them in the playoffs
Yeah.
That'd be hard.
It's hard.
without them cheating will be very hard.
Ooh.
So we have Saints.
Saints making
Patriots.
it, but Patriots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
as much as I would love to see Drew Brees
Yeah.
Pull one
just
out.
body Tom Brady,
That'd be the best moment of my life.
It'd be pretty
Besides
good.
the Red Sox winning this World
but
Series
it is
last
possible.
year.
It's possible.
That's pretty good too.
All right. So my predictions. Everybody's had like their like off the wall pick, and maybe I have 2 of them. So on the AFC side, okay. First of all, I gotta ask, NFC stronger than AFC?
Yes.
Yeah.
As of this
Okay.
year,
I think the
still-
NFC's top heavy, but I think the AFC 1 through 6 is better than the NFC's 1 through 6.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
'Cause-
Maybe that's a topic for later in the
I think the
offseason.
2 best teams are probably in the NFC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
all right. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
so I've got the Saints and the Seahawks going into the NFC Championship game. Like a couple of the guys said, the Seahawks are kind of that sleeper pick. I could see them winning up to the NFC Championship game, but like everybody else, the Saints are just gonna take over. It's not even close.
It's hard to beat the Saints at home.
It's really hard to beat the
They're
Saints.
really
period.
good.
As soon as they got that home field advantage, it's almost
Yeah,
like a
it's
cakewalk.
over. Yeah.
Where's
So-
the Super Bowl this year? Do you know?
It's Atlanta.
Is it
It's a
Atlanta?
new stadium.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's a big boy stadium. So we got the Saints going to the Super Bowl. AFC side, here's the controversial one. Patriots and Chiefs.
Oh.
And I'm done with Tom Brady. Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
So-
not
like-
surprising from the Steelers guy.
Okay.
I like how
Just for getting
Okay.
bodied by Tom Brady for 10
no love
years.
for the Chiefs out of the 4 to the 5
yeah.
people.
So here's what I think though. I do think Mahomes is a little bit overrated.
Hasn't won a big game yet.
Exactly. But I'm also not sold on Tom Brady being as awesome as he's used to be in the past. I know. It's hard to say that Tom Brady won't go to the Super Bowl. I know that's difficult.
4 weeks later, Brady's going to call Matt and be like, "Hey,
You were wrong. I mean, I'd be cool with a phone call from Tom Brady.
See, this is it again. Just like I said last week, this is the
I know.
segment where we
But
just bash Tom Brady and then
somebody's
he throws for
gotta
800
do
yards
it.
in the Super Bowl.
Can we call cold takes exposed?
Somebody's got to do it.
think
All
we
right.
get Tom Brady
the
on the
Chiefs."
Ooh.
So I'm gonna say Chiefs over the Patriots, with the Saints just ending them in the Super Bowl. So 4-1, we've got the Saints.
So the question is, no one picks the Rams.
No,
You think they're going to lose in the divisional round?
Well, I'm surprised genuinely that Matt went with the Chiefs because they have a bum defense. Their defense is
But I think their
the
offense is
worst
better
in the
than the
NFL.
Rams.
Honestly,
Well, I think
Yeah,
any of the
and
teams,
the worst in the playoffs.
any of the
I
teams that the Rams have to play, they arguably have the better defense.
Oh, yeah.
But
And you can see how
but
you can shut
no
down.
contest, I think, in the NFC that do they have the better offense.
And it depends on Todd Gurley. Like, if he's not fully healthy,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, they have CJ Anderson who's been tearing it up.
I mean,
but
like, because
still,
think about. So let's pretend. Well, there's what, 2. I mean, realistically, a couple options that could play against the Rams. You've got the Bears. I mean, the Bears defense would eat Jared Goff alive.
they already did.
They already
Earlier
did. Yeah.
this
So
year.
I'm saying like they could do it again. The Eagles. That's iffy, but again, like I think they could pull it off.
The Eagles
They have,
defense
they
is
have a good
sneaky.
defense.
Yes.
Their
And then-
secondary's a little.
I think we're all counting out the Cowboys. So the other option is the sneaky Seahawks, which
Seahawks.
is conceivable.
Their defense
So, like,
is. This is supposed to be the rebuild year.
Which- yeah.
They're not.
Granted, the Cowboys have a good defense, but
I don't think there's any team.
it's spotty.
They're a crap organization.
Yeah, I just don't think that there's any team that
That's
couldn't
you, Jerry.
beat the Rams.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah, nice job, Jerry. Why don't you get rid of Jason Garrett? He's basically Marvin Lewis at this point.
Oh,
It's true.
Uh,
He just claps a lot.
so we have some breaking news. Brian Orakpo of the Tennessee Titans just retired.
If I had to play for the Titans, I'd retire too. But
Hey,
They're getting better.
They're getting
Good
better.
career, cuz. You did good in there.
yeah.
yeah.
You
So if
tried.
you can track down that breaking news stat to see when we recorded this podcast. So
He was a 3-time Pro Bowl linebacker and a former first-round pick for 10 seasons.
yeah. What a player, honestly.
Not bad.
Good
Not
dude.
bad at
Good
all.
dude.
All right.
All right.
So moving on from that Super Bowl, where we all hope the Saints will win, but maybe sneaky think that the Patriots
Patriots
might.
are gonna do it.
Anyway,
Are we going to talk about all
let's-
the head coaches being
Yeah.
fired?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
1/4 of the league.
All like 8 quarterbacks.
Let's
or
stick with the
8
NFL for
quarterbacks.
now, and then we'll jump over to
8 coaches have been retired. Retired.
Okay.
No,
Blame
they've
talk.
been forced.
let
8
us-
coaches were fired.
Okay,
All right,
hold
who's
on,
kicking
we
us
gotta
off?
Pull it back. This year in the NFL, we had a lot of coaching rotation happen. There are 8 open spots in the NFL right now.
Ooh.
That's a lot. That's a lot of open spots. So we got what? The Dolphins, the Broncos, the Bengals, the Browns. Welcome to Ohio.
Packers.
The Packers,
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
Jets.
Oh yeah, the Jets didn't they?
Yeah.
That's 7.
Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
There's one more that I can't think of.
Wilkes, Cardinals.
Cardinals. That's
Cardinals.
wasn't he there for 1 year?
Did you say
Yeah.
Dirk Cutter?
Yeah, the Bucks.
So, not a good year to be a head coach. And I mean,
All right, so here's my question: which one of those jobs would you want the most if you're
the most intriguing job,
I would say the
Browns.
Browns.
really?
And
I think that's where you have the most potential.
yeah,
I would probably go Packers. I don't think I want to skip out on a
Agree
chance to
with
work
you.
with Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair.
I would say
I think the
thirdly-
Jets are slightly interesting because they have a young
They
quarterback
have Sam
too.
Darnold.
I would say thirdly, probably the Bengals would be pretty interesting. I mean, you've got good quarterback, pretty good wide receiving core,
Average quarterback.
stud at running back.
Average running back.
No, stud. You're wrong. No.
I mean, I don't think the majority of these teams are bad.
Well,
like they
the
only need a little
Cardinals.
bit of help.
Like I wouldn't want to touch
Cardinals
the
are
Cardinals.
pretty bad.
yeah, I said the majority of them.
Sorry, Josh Rosen.
Yeah, I mean-
but there were not 9 mistakes ahead of you.
Before I kick it to Blaine here for the Marvin Lewis talk, I'm pretty excited to see what happens with the Bengals there because, as I've always said, the Bengals just do the same exact thing every year and get the same exact result.
It's been far too long.
So it's going to be interesting to see what moves happen here.
We've been wanting this as Bengals fans, not just me, but as Bengals fans for years. We had one
decade,
good
some would say.
year. Yeah, probably. We had 7 years where we went to the playoffs, lost, or 6 years straight, lost first round.
That's insanity.
Then, after that, 3 bad years of just mediocrity. 7-9, or 6-9-1, 7-9, and then 6-10. That's 3 bad years. And I was surprised that they kept him on after last year. This year, we were worse. We started out 5-3. We started out 5-3, and then fired a defensive coordinator after we dropped 2 50-point games to 2 high-powered offenses. And then Marvin Lewis took over, and then we were worse. And then we hired Hugh Jackson, who just makes it even worse.
Yeah, definitely got
Future
better.
head coach.
Yeah, so are we just welcoming Hugh Jackson as the head coach?
Welcome to the team, bud. Welcome to the team.
Way to finish last next year, too.
So,
We're going to fail upwards next, Hugh.
Honestly, though, how can people keep hiring Hugh Jackson? He won
One game.
One game in 2 years with the Browns.
he won 3 games overall.
Yeah.
He also coached for the Raiders. I don't think he has.
No, and then he went over to the
wins under his
Bengals
belt.
and they didn't produce. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that just maybe there's something wrong.
I don't know. Why's the sun shine?
He says as it's raining outside.
Yeah. It just does. I don't know why Hugh Jackson continues to get jobs, but it's probably the same reason that Nathan Peterman's on an NFL roster right now. Things just happen. We don't know why the world is the way it is.
There's just something happening up in the stars that we don't understand.
So, which team is Harbaugh going to?
The Michigan Wolverines.
I'd take him.
Actually,
but,
their team's calling for John Harbaugh, too.
Why?
Did you know?
I don't know.
The worst brother.
So,
The
fun
one
fact.
that has a ring.
There are
wanna be
reports of teams wanting to trade the Ravens for Harbaugh. I've heard. My friend was talking about it last night, so maybe.
Wait,
Trade for head coach. It happened
Yeah,
before.
you can trade coach.
You
In
can
the
trade
NBA,
coaches.
In the NBA, the Clippers traded for Doc Rivers.
I did not know that.
And they haven't really
crazy.
done much.
So the 2 Harbaugh brothers would just trade spots? Is that what you're saying?
No, not
No,
like
no.
that. Like an
That'd be
actual
hilarious.
NFL.
Yeah.
I don't want that guy anywhere near Baltimore.
Yeah, keep him in Michigan.
Or they'll
I
lose
mean,
every year to the Buckeyes.
There were reports right here. I'm just going through the.
They just signed into a
headlines.
contract extension.
Denver Broncos could trade for John Harbaugh.
Give us Von
Report,
Miller.
Broncos willing to explore trade for
They
John
want to
Harbaugh.
trade now.
The Ravens may
They
trade
fired their
Harbaugh.
coach.
Are multiple teams mulling a trade for John Harbaugh? This is just.
I think
headlines.
Von Miller for John Harbaugh is a great trade.
Yeah. Put Harbaugh on the field.
Yeah, give us Von Miller. We'll give you Harbaugh.
Why can't you do this in Madden? I would trade my coach every time.
That's
What?
you. That's you, Hugh Jackson. That's you.
Are we doing an edit point there, or are we leaving that in?
Nope, too late now. Let's go.
All right.
So, we're going to talk about Kirk Cousins and his, average season with the Vikings. The project. Do you guys consider it a failure in
Yes.
the first year?
I don't.
I don't.
I'm gonna tell you right now. It's too quick to tell. Clearly something wasn't going on with going well with the offense. With them firing the OC and all. So it's only been a year. Clearly this guy earned what he got paid. We've seen what he's capable of. So, we'll see. After 3 years, if he still looks like this, then yeah, he just stole $84 million from you guys. But as of right now, no, it's not.
Here's my thing about it: is you have a team that, by all accounts, probably could have made the Super Bowl last year. They fell asleep against the Eagles and got destroyed that game.
I wanted it so bad.
But they have easily 2 of the best wide receivers in the NFL, in Thielen and Diggs. It's just and one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Top 5.
I don't understand how you can put up paying someone that amount of money and them not produce for you right away.
This is how you do it. Cousins had 70% completion, threw for 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns to only 10 interceptions. That's really, really, really
And that's
good.
under.
Wins are greater than stats.
Ooh.
I'm
Case Keenum did
got a
better with the same amount of people because he led them to the NFC Championship.
But this is the thing,
But
though. There's been so many times where people have sat there and be like, what? They're paying this guy? I mean, how's he going to earn that money? I mean, just look what happened last year with the Vikings with Sam Bradford. I mean, he looked pretty good there for a while until he got hurt. So it was just like, when he got paid for any type of money at all, everybody was like, why are the Vikings giving Sam Bradford money? And then he put a string of wins together.
And then the Cardinals paid him more.
Yeah.
And now he's
Cut.
just chilling at home probably.
He made his money.
Yeah.
But my thing about this topic is they had offensive coordinator problems that I think were slightly more important than Kirk Cousins, whether or not he had a problem. I think by swapping out their offensive coordinator next season, we really get a good look at whether or not it's Kirk Cousins' fault or whether he deserves a third year or not. I don't know. I think it wasn't a failure. It's just give him another year.
It's not a good start.
And
Yeah, it wasn't a good start.
And the NFC North was down this year besides the Bears. Like the Lions weren't great and the Packers were not great. So like
And I mean, the Vikings do have a winning record, so it's not a failure.
There was also
but for
a few of
them,
those
but
losses.
for them it's a
A
failure.
few of those losses were just really poor play by their defense as well. Like there were times where I
On
was
the
like,
Viking- or
where
the
I was just
Saints.
watching it and I was like, man, I thought the Vikings defense was good. Like,
The Saints did rip them and like
And on
beginning
top of that,
season.
I mean, their offensive line stepped down this year. I mean,
yeah.
he didn't have much more time in the pocket than I think he had less time than Keenum. So I mean, it's hard to say. You have to give him another year, in my opinion.
If he doesn't do
I'm
anything
not-
next year, then I think it'd be a failure.
Look, obviously failure is a strong word. I'm not saying that like they should cut him right away
No,
or move
no.
on from him, but this was not the start you wanted. You signed Cousins thinking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
You didn't make the playoffs.
That's fair.
They had
if-
they had the playoffs, and then
Yeah.
And then
they blew
If
it.
if he doesn't make it to, I think, second round of playoffs next year, it's a failure. Even at that point.
They also had one of the hardest schedules in the NFL this year too. I
No
mean,
excuses.
that's an argument.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Yeah, maybe not a failure, but I definitely see where you're coming from. That like you expected more out of him. But
Yeah.
we'll give him another.
Because
year.
when they first signed him, they're like, "Oh, this is going to put us over the top to go to the Super Bowl." Like that's what people thought when they got Kirk
I also
Cousins.
think that expectations were too high
Yeah,
for him.
That's
too.
also
But like,
Yeah.
Oh, when you get,
I mean, 'cause
when
you
you
thought-
paid $80+ million,
Yeah.
you're gonna have
And
high
you're like,
expectations.
"Oh, he's better than Case Keenum." Like,
Yeah, and you're
this is
going
going to
from
be
Keenum.
their
Yeah.
player, and then they didn't even make.
but I don't think you should have set the expectation that he was worth $84 million.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserved that kind of money, but
No, I don't
that's
either.
also
That's-
beside the point.
I mean, I would argue Garoppolo, even though he got injured, he still didn't look good in those first two or three games that he played.
I think we need to see him for
The
a
thing is,
full
we don't have
season.
a lot of tape on Garoppolo.
No.
Also,
Expectations were him. They went
Well, he was
in,
undefeated.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he was
Yeah.
undefeated at that point. Those
and
are
like
that's fair.
he came in and played bad. Like he didn't play great at all.
And honestly, I mean, think about the amount of people that are still in the league, or maybe just recently exited, that were under Tom Brady, that were still just getting paid just for having that
Yeah.
tutelage.
Jacoby
Yeah.
Brissett.
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby
not bad. He's
Brissett.
not
I mean,
bad.
he's good. I
Brissett.
mean, Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer's still getting paid. Hell,
Yeah.
Ryan Mallett was getting paid a couple years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I
Good
forgot
thing the
about that.
Ravens got him. Jeez.
Yeah, like so.
Interesting fact though, the top 6 highest paid quarterbacks did not make the playoffs this year.
That just goes to show
Which
you.
I mean,
that,
Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, so like it's
Yeah.
not
But
his
you
fault.
don't
but-
need you shouldn't shell out, like I get quarterback is a very big part of your team, but shelling out that type of money to where you can't pay the rest of your team is
You're shooting
usually
yourself in
not
the
a
foot.
good idea.
I think it just shows that like defenses really matter because like the Bears.
I think that's a lot of where the greatness of Tom Brady
Cowboys.
comes from. Is he's willing to take pay cuts to make sure he has a
He's
good
all
run.
about. He's
And
all
this,
about.
and this is
winning.
my thing. Like, look at what like the Rams are doing, the Chiefs are doing, the Bears are doing. These are teams with young quarterbacks still in their rookie deal. They can afford to pay all these defensive players and get all these weapons around them. And these quarterbacks, like, they're just telling you, like, hey, just manage, and we can get you to the playoffs. Like, but when you're paying like Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, those are great guys, nothing against them, but you don't have enough money to afford anything around them.
Do you think Matthew Stafford's great though?
I do.
Yeah, no, he's a very good quarterback.
He's a very good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened with the Seahawks. I mean, they were doing great, Super Bowl favorites every year. The second they had to pay Russell Wilson,
And then the
yeah,
Legion
I
of
mean,
Boom
now
split
they're
up.
what 5th seed
Yeah.
in the playoffs. And towards the beginning of the season, we were just like, these guys
This
don't
was
look
their
good at all.
down. Russell Wilson, though, has earned his money.
Oh, Russell Wilson's great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying when you pay these guys,
the rest of the team can
money.
do
You
better.
pay-
You didn't
yeah.
pay it so
It
much.
yeah, when
makes
you
it
pay
hard
these
to have
guys
a
so
team.
much money, like you can't put weapons on.
Joe Flacco.
All right. So
Moving on.
I think we covered that pretty well. Let's go ahead and move on to it's the end of the season, the regular season. What is your biggest surprise? So I think I have kind of two. I wanted to say the Colts, but honestly, after watching Andrew Luck for the first few weeks, I was like, okay, this makes sense. But the Tennessee Titans had a really good year. I was honestly surprised that they had done so well under first-year head coach Vrabel, which he hasn't been a head coach before.
Yeah.
Like,
Plus
they hired him right away out of Ohio State, and he's done really good things for them really early.
Mariota was injured pretty much the whole year too.
Yeah.
So
I think he coached them to where they are, and I mean not in the playoffs, but better than I thought they'd be. But I think a bigger surprise than that is the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But they took a lot of defensive injuries that hurt them
They
too.
had too many injuries, but still,
But
that
still, that was bad.
They started out
they have-
the season bad.
Yeah, they have great wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, they have arguably the best receiving core. in the
Julio
NFL.
Jones and Calvin Ridley's coming in,
Arguably.
and yeah. Well,
I'd argue that point, but that's different story.
I don't know what else you have to argue with.
yeah.
But yeah, it is surprising.
I think the Panthers, they started out 6-2 or something.
Yeah, they were a
They
mid-season
just came
surprise.
in, they destroyed the Ravens, and everyone's like, "Is this Cam Newton? Does he want to take them?" And then they lost 6 straight.
Yeah.
The Steelers went in there or they went to Pittsburgh, I think, and they just destroyed the Panthers, and then they just downhill from there.
And it wasn't like they lost a couple close games. They were
they
just
were-
getting
they got-
beat down.
And then
for,
Cam Newton got injured, and I'm still this is it's a good team. I think they're a good team.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're better than where they win 6-7 games maybe. They're better than what the record shows.
Yeah.
And then I also have to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were 7-2-1.
You stole mine.
I know. I had
Oh, then shut up, Darren.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll let Matt talk
I was
about
like, you don't
it.
get to have two.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, let me go off for a second about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Need a new head coach.
No. Okay, so
Ooh.
if you would have told me at the beginning of the year that we would tie to the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, with Tyrod Taylor starting, that we would lose to a 2-12 team that ended up being the Raiders, that our savior Chris Boswell, the fourth killer bee, would end up missing almost a third of his field goals,
Goat.
I would have thought you were insane. Oh yeah, and then we would end up losing 4 out of 6 straight at the end of the season to miss the playoffs. I would have thought you were nuts.
And losing Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and
And James
I can
Conner
believe
for a
that.
while.
Like, I can believe that Le'Veon Bell is just never mind. I don't like Le'Veon Bell anymore. But
from Pittsburgh.
How
does.
fast they turn.
yeah, I try to be a team player. I don't like the idea of chasing money so hard that you're not here to win.
Especially when you're
Like,
I'm
come
coming
on.
back. He toured this team. He's coming back
Yeah.
3 different weeks, and
Yeah.
he just never
Yeah.
showed up.
And
He's
he
just
just never
jet
showed
skiing
up.
to Miami or
Okay,
something.
with Le'Veon,
That's some disrespect.
I understand Le'Veon, though.
I mean, I get it,
At
but
his position, at his age, you would want to lock up some security.
Then-
especially with the usage that the Steelers have. I mean, he's getting 40 carries and 10 receptions a game.
Right,
I mean,
but
he's
then-
getting hit 80% of the game for the Steelers.
I don't disagree with you. But if you're gonna just make it 100% clear at the beginning of the season, I will not play. Period.
Instead of
halfway through the
messing
season, I might come back. No, that's not
Yeah.
a cool move.
Yeah.
Instead, Earl Thomas wanted his money, and then he got that knee surgery.
Which is
knee
I
injury.
understand wanting to,
Get paid.
secure yourself. Yeah, I get that. But don't put the rest of your team in jeopardy because of it halfway through the season. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought that the Steelers would miss the playoffs. That hurts.
It's a great time.
It's not.
It's a shock.
Yeah. That's all I got. I'm just going to cry now.
I mean, for me, if it's not obvious already,
Oh.
Marvin got fired.
The king
I'm
is
just
dead.
saying, Marvin got fired. 3 years, we've been thinking, is Marvin gonna get fired? Oh, Marvin's gonna get fired. Bengals don't fire. I mean, last year he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna retire mid-season," and then he was like, "Haha,
Well, that's-
just
I-
kidding."
Actually,
I totally forgot about that.
Last year, he's like, I want to go explore my options.
Isn't it kind of funny that's a surprise?
Yeah, I love that he's like, I'm gonna explore my options. And he does the John Travolta meme where he looks left and he looks right and there's no options. He's like, okay, I guess I'll come back then.
He's just like,
and then
eh.
and then then like there were people being like, yeah, just knowing the Bengals, they're not gonna fire Marvin Lewis.
I honestly didn't think they would.
I didn't
Oh
know.
my
I
gosh!
was hoping they wouldn't.
I woke up the morning that we were recording this podcast is the day that he got fired. My dad screamed down the hall, "Blaine, Marvin got fired!" I was like, it was the best waking up I've had.
Do you think though, if the Bengals would have won, they would have kept Marvin Lewis?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
So
I think the Bengals fan probably would have burned down the
Oh, they
stadium.
would.
Oh, yeah.
Marvin
100%
Lewis
would
was
have.
back.
Oh yeah.
But that's my biggest surprise, and it's near and dear to my heart. But Troy, do you have one?
Actually, I'm gonna go against Matt's rules there. I have 2.
Oh.
So-
Well, I was just mad because he
so I
took
can have
mine.
2.
He took mine.
I'll say it, and
I just-
nobody took either one of mine, so,
Okay.
Oh,
so it's
wow.
all good here. My number 1 surprise was the Chiefs this year.
Oh.
I was very surprised that usually Andy Reid's season ends about week 8, and he forgets how to call plays.
That's a very good point.
And so to see them put up this much success for that long, I was pretty impressed. I knew Mahomes was going to be good. I didn't know if he was going to be
50 touchdowns.
MVP conversation his first time getting the gig. But and my other surprise was Andrew Luck. I mean, I'll go on record and say I was one of those guys watching him gone for 2 years, just being like, I don't think he's ever going to play another down. And to see him come back like this and not only play electric but get his team into the playoffs has been incredibly surprising. And I'm eating my words. I'm happy to see it. I'm big on the Andrew Luck train.
That's good.
Okay. I would say honorable mention is probably Baker Mayfield. I didn't think he'd
One
come in.
quarterback
saw it coming.
from
Okay.
Cleveland to actually
Not a surprise.
do something.
But to come in and break the rookie
Yeah,
touchdown
touchdown
record.
in
By Andrew
12
Luck.
games or something like that.
13.
Like
Until Dwayne
Plus with
Haskins
the Browns.
beats
it's
it
still
next
it's
year.
impressive. It's impressive.
Granted, I was upset when they picked him, and I apologize.
A lot of people.
I was like, that's a good pick. I'm like, Baker's probably the best quarterback in the draft. And, I mean, time will tell.
For the Browns.
For the
I think he was
Browns.
the best.
Yeah.
I honestly
He's
don't
got
think
that-
Sam Darnold would have had the same success
No.
in this team.
Yeah.
But I think they did
Baker
a good
has
job
the,
bringing him in and building around Baker.
Honestly, I didn't care who the Browns took as long as it wasn't Saquon Barkley.
I also read a thing where Dolphins players wanted to be traded unless their head coach got fired. So,
Yikes.
So he got fired now, so maybe the Dolphins won't be mediocre next year.
We'll see.
No.
Once they get somebody besides Tannehill.
Yeah, they still have
Tannehill,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
You need better than a mediocre quarterback to be better than mediocre.
So finally, sticking with the last thing we have to do with the NFL, we're going to talk about Week 17's Nathan Peterman Player of the Week. Does anybody want to introduce any of these guys?
I guess I should introduce one of them. It's the Giants defense just going full tank mode and letting old Jawin, whatever his name is, just literally walk into the end zone from about 30 yards out. Even fake tackling to make it look like you're doing your job. I've never been prouder. For the first time, it took till week 17 for the first time for the Giants to respect the tank. And yeah, so hopefully we can get down there around round 6 or 5. That'd be a nice pick for us. So,
Dwayne Haskins.
maybe.
So our second nominee is, as you may recall, during Troy's game recaps, we had a surprise guest come onto the field as a quarterback. You're ruining my intro. Mr. Gino. The Genie
The
himself.
Genie
Geno
from West
Smith,
Virginia.
The Genie from West Virginia. So
Country Road should take him home.
please do. So he comes in and he has one play where he gets strip sacked by Von Miller and he doesn't play again.
Sounds
And
about
quite
right.
honestly, he probably shouldn't play on a
Again.
football field again.
That honestly sums up his entire career.
Yeah.
He tried.
So-
He tried. That's his career. He tried. That's on his headstone when he's dead. He's like, he
Geno
tried.
Smith.
He tried.
He tried.
It's kind of funny to me, Geno Smith. I'm sitting here thinking about trying to think of headlines of his career, and all I can think of is that fumble, him taking a game from Eli Manning and playing horribly, and then him getting punched in the face. That's the only things I can think of from his career.
That was amazing.
Those are the only headlines I can think of from his career.
Remember in college when he was a Heisman candidate? And,
Well, because he was at West Virginia where no one.
and then they did
against him
his
played
own defense, and he just I don't know how to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
And it was terrible after that. Sorry, Gino.
And our final nominee for the Nathan Peterman Player of the Week is my man, Jeff Driscoll, who threw 24 times, completed 12 of those, and if you know how to do math, that's 50%.
I don't.
For 95 whole passing
That's
yards.
not bad.
That's
In a week.
that's junior high football.
Yeah.
That's less than 10 yards of completion.
It was,
Yeah.
That's just check down, check down.
Check down. Let's
Check
go ahead
down.
and get out of here.
Yeah.
Marvin's done.
Didn't
We
even
all know
have,
it.
he didn't have anyone to throw it to, though. But
Granted, he may have gotten Marvin fired.
so maybe it was a win.
Someone's paying him under the table for that.
So,
Yeah,
Driscoll, you have my vote. Just,
I gotta go with Gino. I mean,
that's a good one.
it's pretty bad.
I'm feeling this might be the most split Peterman Player of the Week.
I do respect what the Giants did because finally respecting the tank and all, but yeah, Geno Smith is just horrible, man.
You know what? Yeah.
The one time
I
he
have no
played.
respect for that.
Okay, so I mean it's a hard decision. See, I chose last week for the one player who had one play doing something absolutely ridiculous, and I didn't choose the entire team that did something ridiculous. Now I feel like I have to go with the entire team doing something ridiculous and just letting someone waltz in the end zone while acting. Like, they deserve an award for that.
Yeah, honestly, Curtis Riley throwing that little shoulder shrug, fake tackle thing. I couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest thing.
So I have to give it to the Giants defense on this one.
Hey, way to get on the,
I'm
way to
very
get on the show,
impressed.
boys.
I'm going to have to give it to Geno Smith.
Ooh, we have a
I don't know why he's still in the league to begin with. But the one time he actually won the one play, I think this whole entire year, he made it for our Nathan Peterman Player of the Week. So
You think he comes in there, gets under center, and he's like, all right, Gino, this is where you show him you step along.
This is it.
so Nathan Peterman, Player of the Week,
You're gonna take it away with the.
Geno Smith.
Congratulations, Gino.
Oh, yeah.
Did you
so,
vote?
Geno Smith, you're the worst.
Hey!
Congratulations.
We're just gonna get a button for that at some point.
You're the worst.
Did you
So-
have to rely on me?
Now we're going to go to the college football level.
Time to put the gloves on.
And we're going to talk first about Oklahoma and Alabama. They both played. Kyler Murray didn't look great. Not great. He looked all right.
Second half.
So he has a decision on football, baseball. Do you think he should choose baseball?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
the smartest plan.
I would say,
for
like,
him.
it
way
doesn't
more
matter
money.
who the player is. If you have to choose between getting beaten up every single week or playing baseball and making more money doing
Right.
it, you should just pick baseball.
And
Yeah,
here's
exactly,
my thing.
yeah.
I think he's a good college quarterback. I don't think he would be a good NFL quarterback. I know he's kind of Baker Mayfield-esque. I think he's more shifty than Baker, but I think Baker has a better arm.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem is. He's more of a run guy. He has a good arm for college and college coverages and the Big 12, which is nothing. So I think it's much smarter. You've got your money. You got drafted. And I know that baseball drafts are kind of a joke anyway.
Yeah.
But you got your pick. You're going to Oakland. Just stick with it. You're way less likely to get hurt playing baseball than football, and you're gonna live a longer, happier life.
Unless you loves football more than pursue your dream.
You look me in the
like,
eye and be like, hey, do you want to have a giant grown men try to take your head off every single day, or do you just want to go out there and toss a leather around every once in a while and make way more money doing it? I'm taking baseball every time.
America's pastime, everybody. So the last thing we want to talk about is the other college football game, or the Clemson practice for the championship. Notre Dame, number 3 seed, they came.
They saw.
They saw. They did not conquer.
I don't even think they did those first.
I
two
don't
games.
even. Yeah.
Did
I don't
they
know.
even show up?
So Notre Dame's an independent school in football,
He's a strong, independent woman that don't need no conference.
Yeah, they don't have.
It does need a conference.
and what are you guys' thoughts about Notre Dame?
I'll field this.
I'll let you start.
Yeah, Notre Dame has been the most overrated, just handed so many opportunities over the years. They quit playing Michigan on a regular basis because they'd come in the season ranked 15th and then lose to Michigan by 30, and then you'd never see them again.
Right.
There's a reason that Notre Dame is overrated, and that's because they don't have to play anybody.
Oh, they play Army and Navy. Like,
Yeah,
ooh.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're
No
real.
offense to Army
Yeah,
and
those guys
Navy.
are real patriots just beating up on our nation's military like that, huh? Because I hate Notre Dame. I'm getting flustered right now just talking about Notre Dame.
So, I mean, this is coming from an obvious man who's got a rivalry with Notre Dame. How about someone that doesn't have a rivalry with Notre Dame and saying that you're absolute garbage? Like, there is no reason you should have sniffed the playoffs this year. I would have, as an Ohio State fan, I would have been happier with Georgia getting it over you because at least 4 of better teams would be represented in the playoffs.
I'd gladly take Central Florida over Notre Dame.
Quite honestly, I would too. At least they have a conference and conference championship. I mean, think about this. Think about this for a second. The basketball team is in a conference.
ACC.
What conference are they in?
ACC.
Who would they have played in their conference championship?
Clemson. Could have been avoided. Yeah.
We could have known this weeks ago.
Yeah, this all could have been avoided.
Like, I just... Here's a message to the College Football Playoff Committee. Tell us how you make your decisions, because there's no way you're looking at these games and thinking, these are the 4 best teams. I don't see... I can understand
I mean,
Oklahoma.
they just have to be like, these guys are undefeated. Just put them in.
Like, I can see why you put Oklahoma in. They avenged their only loss this season. Their offense is unbelievable. The defense was extremely questionable, and was obviously exploited by Alabama.
But they won their conference
But
championship.
they won their conference championship. They won their conference outright. They finished with 1 loss, and they avenged the 1 loss.
That loss was by 3 points, too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
So I can see it. They didn't play well, but no one expected their defense to play well against Bama. Notre Dame didn't do anything. They almost lost to Ball State. Does anyone here know where Ball State is?
Hey, that's Maction, baby.
That's
Have
in
some
Ohio.
respect.
It's in Ohio.
I don't think
it is in
yeah.
Ohio.
Have some respect for the Maction, baby.
I
I know a guy who goes to Ball State, okay?
And I mean, their next best game besides Michigan, which their starters, I mean, their starting quarterback didn't know the playbook at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and they still only won by 7.
Their next best games were Northwestern
Which they barely beat.
and Syracuse.
And Syracuse, yeah.
Syracuse is ranked.
Syracuse
Yeah,
without
they're-
their quarterback.
Yeah, their quarterback wasn't there.
In all fairness, I mean, that back end of the rankings doesn't really matter after 15.
No.
15.
At that point, it's just
4 years ago, Ohio University was ranked 24th.
Hey, listen. And they lost 3 straight.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Then they
Oh,
lost.
They
yeah.
lost 3 in a row, but they were there.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, we're not the only people to complain about this at all. Everyone absolutely hated it. I don't think Notre Dame wanted to be there. I remember that. I think their quarterback book was talking about we're gonna show them they think we're overrated, and then he did nothing.
They put up 3 points.
only thing you're good for is the gold face mask. Everything else about Notre Dame sucks.
Yeah.
Join a conference.
They haven't
Join a
won. They're
conference.
0-6 in the important bowl games.
They're 0-6,
and they get blown out every time they play somebody. Actually, competition, they get blown out all the time.
They're 0-6 in New Year's Six bowls, and they lose on an average of 24 points. Per
That's
game.
horrible.
That's terrible.
Just stop trying, Notre Dame.
And don't give me the excuse that they're undefeated. Well, UCF hasn't lost a game in 2 years.
Yeah.
Why aren't they in there?
How about you put I don't know.
I mean, and they have a conference. I mean, if we're just gonna say just the record is what matters, then why not?
How about we just put everyone else? Let's put Georgia, let's put Ohio State, let's put Michigan and Notre Dame's schedule.
Oh,
Be undefeated.
Every other team would have been undefeated in that schedule. Except Michigan can't play themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just it gives me a headache every time I think about this. If Notre Dame goes undefeated again next year and makes the playoffs, there needs to be a change. I don't want an 8-team playoff, but if we're just gonna let garbage in, you might as well extend it so good teams can make it.
I would argue that the college football playoff puts in the teams that's going to get them the most money,
Which is
not
right.
Then they would put Ohio State in every year,
That's the only reason they were in the first time, though.
The second time.
and then they won.
Well, yeah, but they shouldn't have been there.
Well, they had the best team they've ever had. But listen, I that's what I thought too, and that's why I thought this year and last year Ohio State was going to get in. I mean, Notre Dame has a big market, But if you want to talk about big markets, it's Alabama and then Ohio State and then maybe like Oklahoma or Texas.
I mean, Ohio State's football program pays for the campus.
Yeah.
They make $1 billion a year.
Yeah.
You could go to any state, anywhere in America, and you could find Ohio State fans. They're all over.
They're
the
all
place.
terrible people.
Wow. Okay. You're sitting at a table with three of them.
I'm aware.
So, bottom line, College Football Playoff Committee, make them join a conference. Don't let them back in until they do, or until they play at least 1 or 2 top-ranked teams
And win.
You know, like
Starting out
the
right
very
now. Hashtag bad Notre Dame.
the very first college football TCU, Ohio State jumped TCU because TCU didn't have a conference championship.
Shouldn't
Yeah.
have.
Yep.
Shouldn't have happened.
And
But they
the
did.
Big 12 was throwing a fit about it. And then what'd they do?
They
got a conference championship.
So you need
And,
to send a message.
Apparently, winning a conference championship doesn't matter much anymore. I don't even know what their rules really are. So.
Nope, no one does.
No. I don't even think they do, honestly.
They don't. So it's an entire mess. It was better when it was just 2 teams. Fix something. It's getting to the point where I'm starting to enjoy college football less, which sucks because I love college football far more than I like any other sport.
Hey, the NFL's where it's at, but
I could watch college football all day.
You let hand on a quarterback get rough in the passion in the NFL.
that's that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
helmet to
didn't-
helmet
Helmet
rules.
to helmet, too.
Didn't Clay Matthews get arrested or something?
I haven't heard from him since like week 10.
That's what I'm saying. I think he got arrested.
I think he's like,
I think he
I'm
had one more.
retired.
I think he had one more hard sack, and they were just like, cuff him.
We can't let him stay here. All right. I think we're done with our rant for
Yeah, I was
now.
gonna say it was mostly you ranting. Are you done with your rant?
No, it makes me so mad.
He's not done yet.
We're not saying that Ohio State deserved it, but
No.
Notre Dame just
No.
Georgia
Bunch
did.
of cheesy.
Georgia
brats.
Like, I get why Ohio State didn't get in. It
and
makes sense.
rightfully so. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
But Notre Dame didn't play. Notre Dame, I would argue that UCF had a harder schedule.
they play Cincinnati.
I'd
Oh,
argue
boy.
that
Game.
any day.
Luke Fickle.
Luke Fickle,
The fire pickle.
the fire fickle. But yeah, so next year, hopefully Notre Dame just becomes irrelevant again, and we don't have to worry about them ever again.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
I'd
I
like
doubt
And
it.
everyone lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
The end.
Close that book.
Darn, never mind. I can't say that.
And we're signing off.
All right.
All right. Thank you for
See ya.
joining us.
All right.
See you in 2019.
Ooh, yeah.
Terrible joke.
You're that guy.
I know.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Loser. All right.
All right, we're out. Thank you.